How to invest in real estate without buying a home. So welcome back. This is really going to be an easy subject. You're really going to like it. How to invest in real estate without buying a home. Now, most people believe that buying a home is a great investment. But it was just a short time ago when Robert Kiyosaki came out with a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he said, your home is not an investment. Well, that caused a controversy with the brokers, the bankers, the title companies, everybody that was in real estate. But it all came true because he said it's not an investment and you could lose it if you think that's your investment. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to cover a couple of very secure strategies that are going to get you started, and you can start with like $50. So just stay tuned. You're really going to learn something. Now, most real estate out there is based on retail investment strategies. Now, let me say that again. Retail investment strategies, okay? But I'm going to show you tested wholesale investment. What you want to do is you want to be able to buy wholesale and use the strategies that the professionals like myself use. All right, now, this video is short. And so at the very end of it, I am going to put two big mistakes that real estate investors make. So I want you to stay tuned till the end, simply because you need to learn these two mistakes because they cost people hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'll be right back. Now, not everybody wants a home. Most people want a home to bring up a family. I certainly understand that. Now, my name is Ted Thomas. I've been involved in real estate since 1970. Okay, and I started with single-family homes. I kind of graduated and started doing condos, office buildings. Finally grew it to the point where I was buying 100-unit apartment properties, all the way up to 300 units. All right, that's a business that requires not only a management team on site, but it also requires an administrative team to back it up. I'm going to show you the easy way where the little guy can make lots of money and not have to have one of those big teams. Now, real estate is a solid way and a solid strategy for long term. Don't think of a quick turnaround process. You need time in real estate to make money. Now, you don't need 40 years, but you need a little bit of time. Now, real estate fixer-uppers, if you're watching television, that's a 29-minute TV program. Starts out with a house that doesn't look too good. 29 minutes later, it's a mansion. Well, folks, that's entertainment. That's not real estate. You're not going to be able to pull that off very well unless you have a lot of money. The entertainment business can pay a lot of money to get those houses fixed up. You probably don't have that kind of money. So let's look at some long-term strategies where you can make a lot of money and not have to have a lot of risk. Okay, now, if you have questions that I've missed, you can certainly put those below and tell me about that. If you'd like to know how much a tax lien pays in your particular state, just write me a note below and put it there. I'll not only send you back an answer, but I'll send you a nice gift, which I'll tell you about in just a few minutes. All right, in this episode, we're talking about how to invest in real estate without buying a home. So there's a gentleman by the name of Schiller. He happens to be a professor at the Yale University. He wrote a book that went back 100 years of research in real estate. And everybody, for some reason, thinks that real estate goes up 5% a year. But he researched it and compared it with inflation for 100 years. And real estate actually goes up 1% a year, and he definitely proved it. Now, Kiyosaki proved his point, too. He said real estate as a home is not a very good investment. And you could ask anybody that lived in Las Vegas from 2006 through 2012, where the property values dropped 60 and 70%. They lost everything. The banks had to close. Why'd they close? Because all of the real estate crashed. Same process happened in Phoenix, Arizona, where it dropped 60%. Same challenge here in Florida, where it dropped 30%. So the bankers and the financial people created a massive crisis, and we have all suffered. Even if I, like myself, owned the property all those years, the property was actually going down while I was living in it. Why? So a home is probably not your best investment. But here's where you can make your money. If you'll think just a little bit different and follow along with what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about retail. I'm talking about we're going to create value. We're going to do things wholesale. Let me say it again. We're going to create value. We're going to do things wholesale. So let me give you a couple of ways to create value. You watch a home builder, they come and here's a big open field, and what do? They come with a bulldozer and they cut the roads in. Then they put some water and they put sewer and electrical. Next thing you know, the houses are popping up. Okay? They're building value. That's value not only for the community, but there's more money for the tax man. There's more money for everybody. pretty quick you see people asking you, where's the shopping center? All right, you got the idea. They're building value. But they're not the only ones that build value. Developers build value in downtown areas. So what do? They got an area that's blighted. They go to the city and say, look, we're going to buy everything here, clean it all up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put a big foundation in. We're going to build some high-rise buildings. Well, the city loves that. Why? Because lots of tax revenue is going to come in from that building. Do the local employers like that? Yes, because they're all going to be selling concrete and electrical, and pretty quick, 2 years later, there's a bus stops out front and people getting off the bus. All those people are creating value. Now I'll show you how to create value, and you can always make money in real estate if you can create value. So let me share with you how the government's set it up for you to be a winner. It's set up for you to be a winner, all right? All right, so 200 years ago, they created a system, and they said if the counties can't collect the money from the people that are supposed to pay property tax, what you could do, Mr. Treasurer, is you could confiscate the property. So 200 years ago, in all the counties in the United States, there's over 3,000 of them, they set the rules. And the rules said, if you owned a property, you had to pay tax. If you don't pay the tax, guess what? They're going to confiscate your property in half of the states. The other half of the states are going to issue a tax certificate. But let me show you how to create value. Well, if you could go to the county when they had just confiscated a property, they'd be happy to sell it to you. But they don't just do it onesie-twosie. Once a year, or sometimes twice, they will have an auction of all those properties. Anybody can go to the auction. It takes pennies to buy. You can buy for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. Whatever you want to pay, you can pay. When you get the property, there's no mortgage. So I've been to auctions that had 1,500 properties in Los Angeles County. I've been to other auctions where there was only 10. So the county that has a low population, it's not too populated, won't have too many properties. But a county like Los Angeles, where they have millions of people, they'll have 1,500 to 2,500 properties, which they're selling for the back taxes. Now, if you could buy it for very close to the back taxes and sell it for halfway towards retail, halfway, not all the way. So if it was a $200,000 property and you sold it for $100,000, you just created value. You created value in that community. That's what you want to do. Plus, you help some people. You help the tax collector because they're going to get money in. When they get money in, they can pay the school teachers and the firefighters and the police department. You're getting the idea. All right, I'm going to answer 2 questions, and then we'll come back. Okay, the question is, how long does it take to get a tax lien certificate? They're issued quickly. You'll probably more than likely receive it within 30 days, but it doesn't matter that you didn't have it because the day you buy it, you're recorded as the lien holder at the county records. And once you're recorded as the lien holder, nothing can happen to that property until you get paid. Now, with a tax deed, that means they're going to transfer the property, the ownership from the county to you. A deed transfers the ownership. And when they do transfer the ownership, well, that might take them, I don't know why it takes them so long, but some places are 45 days, some places 90 days. I don't know what's going on at the county. It's just a matter of filling out one piece of paper. But when you purchase and you've completed the transaction, the property will, the county records will show it's in your name. Wow, that's quite a question. All right, so here's someone that's really thinking of advanced stuff, and they're thinking with this question by saying, when I'm nervous about the auction, and do I have any tips? Yeah, I would say I have a lot of tips. The first couple are simply this: go to the auction and watch, go to the auction and watch, go to the auction and watch. Let's talk about those 2 big mistakes. You don't want to make these mistakes. So here they are. I'll make it as simple as possible and as easy as possible. Mistake number 1 that costs newcomers and experienced investors a lot of money. I mean a lot. They lose money at these auctions. And why do they lose money? Because they bid on properties they haven't seen. So mistake number 1, don't bid on a property unless you've had boots on the ground, eyes on the property, or you've had someone that you know look at that property. And I mean recently, a few days before the auction. Don't be looking at properties a month and then buying them a month later, because there could have been a fire, there could have been a hurricane, could have been a windstorm. I could go on and on. The point is, don't buy properties if you haven't looked at them. Now, that was mistake number 1. Now let's cover mistake number 2. Very similar mistake. You go to the auction, you're really excited. Someone beats you out of a property and spends too much, but you don't get that one, so now you're really determined. And what do? You start bidding on properties that are on a list, but you haven't thought about an exit strategy. What's an exit strategy? You know what you're going to sell it for. Don't buy a property unless your exit strategy is in your brain. In other words, you know what you can sell it for. If you don't know what you're going to sell it for goodness sake, don't just bid to win. You want to bid because you want to make profit. Those are the two big mistakes. I want you to avoid those. I have a gift for you, and this is a nice gift that you can get started right away, and it's all about tax lien certificates and tax deeds, all on video, so it'll be really easy. And what do I call this gift? I call this gift a quick start to getting started. Just remember the name Quick Start, and when I finish, just go below me, and you can register, and that'll be my gift to you. That'll get you started with tax lien certificates and the big profits in tax defaulted properties. See you there.